Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out Ondo's price chart. And before we check out short-term price action right in here, I'm actually going to do a complete Elliott Waves analysis and tell you no matter what's going to happen in this specific area, overall I do think in Ondo we are looking very much optimistic and bullish. So are you ready? Let's dive in and see what is going on. And I do think we should probably start counting waves from this point, and maybe it's best to go on H4 time frame. There we go. So why do I think we should start counting waves from here? Because in this whole area, I think we can all agree, if I just hide everything, this point is clearly the lowest low. And what do you have off of it? I do think that maybe, let's actually zoom in a little bit. This is a wave 1, correction for wave 2, preferably I'm gonna say 2 about this point, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into wave 3, correction for 4, another move on the upside into our wave 5, and followed by that, what is going on? You see, prior to taking this important slowdown here in Ondo, about 85.9 cents, the idea was that maybe we are having a correction to about the lows down here, and for instance, this can be a wave 1, and the idea was that, you know what, maybe this is going to be like an ABC zigzag down into wave 2, meaning what size? You know what, huge move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. But right now, we cannot really argue that anymore. Why? Because let's hide everything. As you can see, in this phase down, we clearly took the lowest low all the way down here. Actually, let's not say clearly we took the lows, by like a very small margin. If you go also on some other charts, you can definitely see it. We took the lows. So instead, I am now going to entertain the idea of having something called an ABC flat, which looks like this. This is our initial move down into a correction for wave B, and in it we are going to get very close to this initial high. In some cases, for like a very small margin, we may also take it, doesn't really matter. And then we're gonna have a good move down into our C leg, and once more in this phase we are either going to take the low of our wave A by a very small margin, or maybe we're just going to get very close to it, and that will be at the low of our correction down. And when it comes to the sub waves, I think you know the answer. ABC into A, ABC into B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into C. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is going on in here. So here is what I have in my mind. I do think that starting from the highs to about here, we are having an ABC down. Finding a 5 wave, honestly, in this area is like a very tough challenge. So I'm not even going to entertain that idea. Followed by that, though, I think we are having in here, let's just delete the waves. There we go. This is probably from this point 5 up into a correction for wave B, and another 5 wave on the upside into our C leg. Let's also delete the sub waves in here. There we go, so you can see the candles a bit better. So far we said we are having ABC down, ABC up, and I do think this does look a bit like starting from the highs, a 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe to about this point another move down into wave 5, or maybe we are having something like this, correction for our wave 4 to about the current point, and then another move on the downside into our wave 5. But here is the situation. Even if this bearish count in Ondo is in place, suggesting in the short term we're going to get a move down, because this whole move on the downside is going to be an ABC flat, we do not expect Ondo to go a whole lot lower than this low right in here, about 84.5 cents. So maximum, I'm gonna say, in Ondo we can expect like a 12 to even 13% move on the downside, but most likely not a whole lot more than that. Now here's the deal. On a higher degree, this is actually an insanely bullish setup. Why? Because this implies that you are having probably 5 up into 1 correction for wave 2. And in terms of Elliott waves, it's very important to note that wave 3 is known to be quite a strong and sharp move on the upside. So if this count is happening in Ondo, I think it is very much fair to say that indeed exciting times are going to be ahead of us. Now, In terms of the targets, I don't really think that I should be talking about it right now, but let's just consider having a good move up in order to take the previous high in here about $2 region, and then what's going to happen from that point moving forward, fair enough, can be a little bit up for debate. So as you can see, in Ondo, we are having an insanely bullish setup, and there isn't really a whole lot to be worried about. And in fact, I would argue if you do not care about the short-term price action, and for example, you're not really concerned with what is going to happen in the next week or two, okay, just do not look at this chart. Come back, let's say in about 2-3 weeks, because at that point, I do think you are probably going to see much higher prices. Now, in case that you do care about what is happening in here, okay, you see, in Ondo, like we also said that earlier, we can consider different counts, and one scenario does suggest that the low is in right around this area. And if you want to go according with that count, okay, fair enough, then you should, I believe, say this is 1, 2, 3, running flat into 4, another move up into wave 5, followed by a correction down, maybe an ABC, or maybe if you want to say we completed a 5 wave to about this point, this is going to be like a WXY structure, generally some sort of a correction. So what is it that I'm trying to tell you? In case that in Ondo, the final low is already in, then okay, in the next, let's say 3 to 7 days, you are going to see a very strong move on the upside. And the moment that we start having overlapping of the waves between this phase up and also this one, at that point, you're going to be able to be bullish with like much more confidence. Why is that? Okay, you see, the bearish scenario in Ondo suggested that we are having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulsive structure down, which between our wave 2 and 4, we are not allowed to have overlapping of the waves. So what's going to happen if we go up and start having overlapping of the waves? At that point, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not going to be in play, and you kind of sort of have to argue that, you know what, we have completed a 5 wave to about this important low down here. So if in Ondo you want to be bullish in the short term, then okay, you have to see a very strong bounce back, and I do think we might actually end up getting one. On the other hand though, if you want to be a bit pessimistic in Ondo, then okay, from here especially, you want to see a very strong move down, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without a lot of overlapping of the waves. So the bearish count suggests in Ondo soon, let's say in the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to get a move down. The bullish one suggests we are going to get a move on the upside. And I think if you are looking for some very much early bullish signs, you should probably pay attention to this very important high, about 96.5 cents. Why? Because the moment that we go up in Ondo in a strong manner and in it we take this important high, at that point, how exactly are you able to find in this region a complete 5 wave? This is at that point going to look a hell of a lot like either an ABC or a WXY, generally a 3 wave movement, meaning what? Yep, probably this is a correction and our move up is going to continue, and hopefully the final low is already in. So this was a complete Elliott Waves analysis in Ondo, suggesting overall we are looking extremely bullish, and if you want to know whether we have hit our final low or not, you need to pay full attention to the next move that we are going to get in the coming 48 hours. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in here, and until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.